Hogan's Heroes, 1965 and 1971, remains one of the most unique and memorable sitcoms ever created, blending sharp-wit, daring escapades and an unforgettable ensemble of characters set against an unlikely backdrop. In this video, we look back at the remarkable cast who brought the world of Stalag 13 to life and pay tribute to the actors who have sadly passed away. From their iconic comedic performances to the legacy they left across decades of television history, we honor their contributions and celebrate the impact they made. Join us as we remember the stars who helped make Hogan's Heroes a one-of-a-kind classic. Bob Crane, born on July 13, 1928, portrayed Colonel Robert E. Hogan in the hit sitcom Hogan's Heroes, 1965-1971, starting when he was 37 years old. Colonel Hogan was the ranking officer of the Allied prisoners of war at Stalag 13, a brilliant, charming, and manipulative strategist who effectively ran the camp under the nose of its incompetent commandant. Crane's charismatic performance anchored the series as Hogan organized sabotage missions, assisted defectors, and gathered intelligence, all while maintaining the facade of a model prisoner. His quick wit and ability to outsmart the German captors made him one of television's most popular heroes of the era. Colonel Hogan survived the series, which ended with the liberation of the camp. In real life, Bob Crane enjoyed a successful and multifaceted career spanning from 1950 to 1978. He began as a powerhouse in radio, earning the title King of the Airwaves in Los Angeles before transitioning to television, with a recurring role on The Donna Reed Show. However, his wholesome public image contrasted sharply with his complex private life, which later became the subject of the biopic Autofocus. His career and life were cut short in one of Hollywood's most notorious tragedies. Bob Crane passed away on June 29, 1978, at the untimely age of 49. The cause of his death was blunt force trauma. He was bludgeoned to death in his apartment in Scottsdale, Arizona, a murder case that officially remains unsolved to this day. Following his death, he was laid to rest at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles, California, U.S. Werner Klemperer, born on March 22, 1920, played Colonel Wilhelm Klink in Hogan's Heroes 1965-1971, starting when he was 45 years old. Colonel Klink was the vain, cowardly, and blissfully incompetent commandant of Stalag 13 who frequently boasted that no prisoner has ever escaped from his camp, completely unaware of the massive underground operation happening beneath his feet. Klemperer, a Jewish refugee who fled Nazi Germany with his family in the 1930s, famously accepted the role only on the strict condition that Klink would never succeed in his schemes and would always look foolish. His brilliant comedic performance earned him 2 Primetime Emmy Awards and made Klink one of television's most memorable buffoons. Klink never died on screen. In real life, Werner Klemperer enjoyed a distinguished career, spanning from 1947 to 1993. He was the son of the legendary conductor Otto Klemperer and was a talented musician and conductor in his own right. Before Hogan's Heroes, he was a respected dramatic actor, appearing in serious films such as Judgment at Nuremberg 1961, often playing sinister Nazi officials in a serious capacity before subverting that image as Klink. His later life was characterized by his return to the stage and his work narrating with symphony orchestras. Werner Klemperer passed away on December 6, 2000, at the age of 80. The cause of his death was cancer. Following his death, he was cremated, and his ashes were scattered at sea. John Banner, born on January 28, 1910, portrayed Sergeant Hans Schultz in Hogan's Heroes 1965-1971, starting when he was 55 years old. Sergeant Schultz was the rotund, bumbling, and soft-hearted sergeant of the guard at Stalag 13, who famously turned a blind eye to the prisoners' elaborate espionage activities, with his iconic catchphrase, I see nothing, I hear nothing, I know nothing. Banner's comedic genius lay in playing Schultz not as a villain, but as a man who simply wanted to survive the war with as much strudel as possible, often being bribed with food by the prisoners. Despite wearing the uniform of the enemy, Schultz became one of the most lovable characters in television history. Schultz never died on screen. In real life, John Banner enjoyed a poignant and successful career spanning from 1938 to 1973. Born to Jewish parents in Austria, he was forced to flee his homeland to escape the Nazi regime that he would later mock on television. Tragically, many of his family members perished in the Holocaust. He arrived in America with little money, but built a career playing character roles, often subverting the Nazi villain trope with humor. His life before his death was characterized by his gratitude for his career in America and his ability to find light in dark times. John Banner passed away on January 28, 1973, on his 63rd birthday. The cause of his death was an abdominal hemorrhage. Following his death, he was laid to rest at Mauer Cemetery, Friedhof Mauer, in Vienna, Austria. Robert Clary, born on March 1, 1926, played Corporal Louis LeBeau in Hogan's Heroes, 1965-1971, starting when he was 39 years old. Corporal LeBeau was the passionate, patriotic French chef of the group whose small stature allowed him to hide in impossibly tight spaces, and whose culinary skills were frequently used to distract or bribe Colonel Klink and Sergeant Schultz. Clary's performance was defined by LeBeau's fierce loyalty, his masterful handling of the camp's guard dogs, and his expertise in tailoring uniforms for the team's undercover missions. LeBeau survived the series. In real life, Robert Clary enjoyed a remarkable and inspiring career spanning from 1949 to 2022. He was the last surviving original cast member of the show. Clary's personal history was one of profound resilience. He was a Holocaust survivor who was imprisoned in the Buchenwald concentration camp, where he sang to guards to survive, and was the only member of his immediate family to make it out alive. He later became a successful singer, actor, and painter in the United States, dedicating his later years to touring and speaking about the Holocaust to ensure such atrocities were never forgotten. Robert Clary passed away on November 16, 2022, at the age of 96. The cause of his death was natural causes. Following his death, he was laid to rest in Los Angeles, California, U.S. Richard Dawson, born on November 20, 1932, portrayed Corporal Peter Newkirk in Hogan's Heroes, 1965-1971, starting when he was 33 years old. Corporal Newkirk was the Royal Air Force conman magician and pickpocket of the group whose street smarts and dexterity were essential for opening safes, picking locks, and forging documents. Dawson's charismatic, quick-witted performance and Cockney accent made Newkirk a fan favorite, often serving as the group's cynical voice of reason and the primary infiltrator during missions outside the camp. Newkirk survived the series. In real life, Richard Dawson enjoyed a highly successful and influential career spanning from 1960 to 1995. Following Hogan's Heroes, he became a dominant figure in game show history, first as a regular panelist on Match Game, and then as the legendary original host of Family Feud 1976 to 1985, where his charm and habit of kissing female contestants became his trademark. He also delivered a critically acclaimed dramatic performance as the villainous Damon Killian in the sci-fi film The Running Man, 1987, alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger. His career was characterized by his quick improvisation skills and his massive popularity as a television host. Richard Dawson passed away on June 2, 2012, at the age of 79. The cause of his death was complications from esophageal cancer. Following his death, he was laid to rest at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles, California, U.S. Larry Hovis, born on February 20, 1936, portrayed Sergeant Andrew Carter in Hogan's Heroes, 1965-1971, starting when he was 29 years old. Sergeant Carter was the team's shy, boyish, and somewhat naive explosives expert and chemist, who could fashion bombs out of everyday chemicals, but often forgot the instructions. Hovis's performance was characterized by a gentle, unassuming comedic style that contrasted with the more boisterous personalities of the group. Carter was also the team's master of disguise, famously impersonating Adolf Hitler on several occasions due to his physical resemblance to the dictator, a running gag that required Hovis to showcase his considerable talent for mimicry and dialects. Carter survived the series. In real life, Larry Hovis enjoyed a multifaceted career spanning from 1960 to 2003, finding success as a singer-writer and television producer. Before Hogan's Heroes, he was a regular on Gomer Pyle USMC and Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. After the series, he became a prolific creator and producer of game shows, including Liars Club, and dedicated his later years to teaching drama at Texas State University. His career was defined by his versatility behind and in front of the camera. Larry Hovis passed away on September 9, 2003, at the age of 67. The cause of his death was esophageal cancer. Following his death, he was laid to rest in San Marcos, Texas, U.S. Ivan Dixon, born on April 6, 1931, played Sergeant James Kinchlow in Hogan's Heroes, 1965-1970, starting when he was 34 years old. Sergeant Kinchlow was the team's radio expert and communications officer responsible for maintaining contact with the underground and Allied command via the hidden transmitter in the doghouse. Dixon brought a quiet, steely dignity and intelligence to the role, effectively serving as Colonel Hogan's second-in-command and the voice of reason within the barracks. Kinchlow was a groundbreaking character for the era, a competent, high-ranking black soldier in a non-stereotypical role. Dixon left the series after the 5th season and was not recast, with no on-screen death explanation. In real life, Ivan Dixon enjoyed a powerful and influential career, spanning from 1957 to 1993, renowned not just as an actor in films like A Raisin in the Sun, 1961, and Nothing But a Man, 1964, but as a pioneering director and civil rights activist. He directed the controversial cult classic film The Spook Who Sat by the Door, 1973, and helmed hundreds of episodes of hit television shows, including The Waltons' Magnum P.I. and The A-Team. His career was characterized by his commitment to social justice and his successful transition behind the camera. Ivan Dixon passed away on March 16, 2008, at the age of 76. The cause of his death was complications from kidney failure. Following his death, he was laid to rest at Inglewood Park Cemetery in Inglewood, California, U.S. Leon Askin, born on September 18, 1907, portrayed General Albert Burkhalter in Hogan's Heroes, 1965-1971, starting when he was 58 years old. General Burkhalter was the gruff, imposing, and sardonic superior officer to Colonel Klink, who frequently visited Stalag 13 to inspect operations, or more often to threaten Klink with a transfer to the dreaded Russian front. Askin's performance was a comedic masterclass in deadpan intimidation. He played the general not as a fanatical Nazi, but as a weary bureaucrat exasperated by Klink's incompetence, often trying to marry off his homely sister Gertrude to the reluctant commandant. General Burkhalter never died on screen. In real life, Leon Askin enjoyed a remarkable and resilient career spanning from 1928 to 2005. Born to a Jewish family in Vienna, he was a cabaret artist who was arrested by the Nazis and beaten. He managed to emigrate to the United States in 1940, while his parents tragically perished in the Holocaust. This personal history added a layer of profound irony to his role as a German general. He built a prolific career in Hollywood, appearing in films like 1, 2, 3, 1961, before returning to Vienna in his later years, where he remained active in the theater until the very end of his life. Leon Askin passed away on June 3, 2005, at the remarkable age of 97. The cause of his death was natural causes. Following his death, he was laid to rest at the Central Cemetery, Zentralfriedhof, in Vienna, Austria. Sigrid Valdis, born on September 21, 1935, played Hilda in Hogan's Heroes, 1965-1971, starting when she was 30 years old. Hilda was Colonel Klink's second secretary, replacing the character Helga, a beautiful, efficient, and flirtatious woman who managed the commandant's office while frequently aiding Colonel Hogan and his men with information or distractions. Valdis brought a bright, charming presence to the role, serving as the primary female figure in the male-dominated cast, and often sharing moments of romantic tension with Hogan. Hilda survived the series. In real life, Sigrid Valdis, born Patricia Annette Olsen, enjoyed a career spanning from 1957 to 1970, which was defined and ultimately curtailed by her connection to the show. She famously met and married the show's star, Bob Crane, on the set in 1970. Following the show's cancellation and the birth of their children, she largely retired from acting. Her life was marred by the tragic and unsolved murder of her husband in 1978, an event that thrust her into a difficult spotlight. She later fiercely defended his legacy against the media scrutiny surrounding his personal life. Sigrid Valdis passed away on October 14, 2007, at the age of 72. The cause of his death was lung cancer. Following her death, she was laid to rest at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles, California, U.S. Howard Kane, born on January 2, 1926, portrayed Major Wolfgang Hochstetter in Hogan's Heroes, 1967-1971, starting when he was 41 years old. Major Hochstetter was the fanatical, high-strung, and perpetually screaming Gestapo officer who viewed everyone, especially Klink and Hogan, with intense suspicion. Kane's performance was defined by his explosive energy and his famous catchphrases such as screaming, "Who is this man?" whenever Hogan appeared in Klink's office, or "Baba" to silence opposition. Unlike the incompetent Klink, Hochstetter represented a genuine, albeit comedically exaggerated threat to the operation. Hochstetter never died on screen. In real life, Howard Kane enjoyed a successful career spanning from 1953 to 1993. Notably, he was an American from Nashville, Tennessee, who was a master of dialects. He mastered 32 foreign and American dialects, allowing him to play the German major so convincingly that many assumed he was European. He was also a highly skilled banjo player, a talent he occasionally showcased on television. His career included roles in classic films like Judgment at Nuremberg 1961 and appearances on The Twilight Zone. Howard Kane passed away on December 3, 1993, at the age of 67. The cause of his death was a heart attack. Following his death, he was cremated, and his ashes were scattered at sea. Cynthia Lynn, born on April 2, 1936, portrayed Helga and later a character named Eva in Hogan's Heroes, 1965-1966, starting when she was 29 years old. Helga was Colonel Klink's original, stunningly beautiful, and highly efficient secretary during the show's first season. With her signature braided blonde hair and Bavarian dirndl, she served as the primary female presence in the camp, often engaging in mild, playful flirtation with Colonel Hogan. While outwardly loyal to Klink, Helga frequently and often unwittingly assisted Hogan's operations by providing access to the commandant's office, distracting guards, or passing along vital information, usually in exchange for scarce luxuries like nylon stockings or chocolate bars. Lynn returned briefly in later seasons as a different background character, but Helga remains her most iconic contribution to the series. Helga did not die on screen. She was simply replaced by the character Hilda in the second season. In real life, Cynthia Lynn had a dramatic personal history that mirrored the volatile era she depicted. Born Zinta Valda Zemilis in Riga, Latvia, she fled the country with her mother to escape the Soviet occupation during World War II, a harrowing refugee journey she later detailed in her autobiography, Escape to Freedom. Her acting career was relatively brief but memorable, including appearances on Mission Impossible and The Odd Couple. Following her time in Hollywood, she largely retreated from the spotlight. Cynthia Lynn passed away on March 10, 2014, at the age of 77. The cause of her death was multiple organ failure due to hepatitis. Following her death, she was laid to rest at Hillside Memorial Park Cemetery in Culver City, California, U.S. John Cedar, born on January 22, 1931, played Corporal Carl Langenscheidt in Hogan's Heroes, 1965-1971, starting when he was 34 years old. Corporal Langenscheidt was one of the recurring recognizable German guards stationed at Stalag 13, often seen interacting with Sergeant Schultz, or being effortlessly manipulated by Colonel Hogan and his men during their schemes. Unlike the imposing or villainous archetype of a Nazi soldier, Langenscheidt was portrayed as a relatively benign working-class soldier who was more interested in staying out of trouble and avoiding the Russian front than fighting the war. His character added significant texture to the camp life, representing the ordinary, non-fanatical soldiers who were merely doing a job, and he appeared in over a dozen episodes throughout the series' run. Langenscheidt never died on screen. In real life, John Cedar enjoyed a prolific and versatile career spanning from 1960 to 2005, working successfully as an actor-screenwriter and producer. He had a notable creative partnership with director William Girdler, co-writing and producing the cult horror film The Manitou, 1978, which starred Tony Curtis. His television credits were extensive, with appearances in classic series such as Mission Impossible Matlock, Barnaby Jones, and Murder, She Wrote. He was also known for his distinct voice and dedication to entertaining troops, having traveled extensively with Bob Hope on USO tours. John Cedar passed away on April 14, 2011, at the age of 80. The cause of his death was complications from leukemia. Following his death, he was laid to rest at Mount Sinai Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles, California, U.S. Stuart Moss, born on February 27, 1937, portrayed Olson and later Lieutenant Bigelow in Hogan's Heroes 1965, starting when he was 28 years old. In the pilot episode, The Informer, Moss played Olson, the original radio operator and fourth member of Hogan's core team, a role that was essentially the precursor to the character of Kinchlow. While Olson was written out after the pilot to diversify the cast, Moss returned to the series in a different capacity, as an American officer showcasing the fluidity of casting in 1960s television. His presence in the pilot is a significant piece of trivia for fans, marking the show's developmental phase before the ensemble was finalized. Olson did not die on screen. In real life, Stuart Moss enjoyed a versatile and steady career spanning from 1964 to 1993, working as both an actor and a writer. He is well remembered by science fiction fans for his intense guest role as crewman Joe Tourmalin in the classic Star Trek episode The Naked Time, where he played a pivotal role in the plot. He also appeared in the cult sci-fi horror film Invasion of the Bee-Girls 1973 and had a recurring role in Faye. Later in his career, he transitioned into writing and directing for stage and television. Stuart Moss passed away on September 13, 2017, at the age of 79. The cause of his death was natural causes. Information regarding his final resting place has not been publicly documented. Dick Wilson, born on July 30th, 1916, played Carl and Captain Gruber in Hogan's Heroes, 1966, starting when he was 50 years old. Wilson appeared in minor functional roles as German citizens or lower-ranking officers, contributing to the show's European atmosphere. While his screen time in Hogan's Heroes was limited, his distinctive voice and comedic timing were evident qualities that would soon launch him into advertising history. His characters did not die on screen. In real life, Dick Wilson enjoyed a prolific and culturally iconic career spanning from 1950 to 2007. Despite appearing in numerous sitcoms like Bewitched and The Bob Newhart Show, he achieved immense nationwide fame for a commercial role that lasted over 2 decades, Mr. Whipple, the uptight, bespectacled grocer, who constantly admonished customers, "Please don't squeeze the charmin," while hypocritically squeezing it himself. Wilson filmed over 500 commercials for Charmin, becoming one of the most recognizable faces in American advertising history and earning a place in the Guinness Book of World Records. His career was defined by this enduring pop culture phenomenon. Dick Wilson passed away on November 19, 2007, at the age of 91. The cause of his death was natural causes. Following his death, he was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, California, U.S. Bernard Fox, born on May 11, 1927, portrayed Colonel Rodney Crittenden and Sir Charles Chitterley in Hogan's Heroes, 1965-1970, starting when he was 38 years. Colonel Crittenden was the hopelessly incompetent, by-the-book Royal Air Force officer whose rigid adherence to military regulations and utter lack of strategic sense constantly jeopardized Hogan's carefully laid sabotage plans. Fox's performance was a comedic highlight, playing Crittenden as a man with supreme confidence but zero capability, serving as a hilarious foil to Hogan's pragmatic genius. He famously botched escape attempts and helped in the worst ways possible. Crittenden never died on screen. In real life, Bernard Fox enjoyed a successful career spanning from 1955 to 2004, born into a family of stage actors in Wales. He is universally recognized for his role as the warlock physician Dr. Bombay in the classic sitcom Bewitched. Fox holds the unique distinction of appearing in 2 major films about the Titanic. He played the lookout Frederick Fleet in A Night to Remember 1958, and later portrayed Colonel Archibald Gracie the Thorve in James Cameron's blockbuster Titanic 1997. His career was characterized by his portrayals of upper-crust, often eccentric British gentlemen. Bernard Fox passed away on December 14, 2016, at the age of 89. The cause of his death was heart failure. Following his death, he was cremated, and his ashes were returned to his family. Who's your favorite character from Hogan's Heroes? It's always tough to say goodbye to beloved cast members who are no longer with us. How does that make you feel? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you're enjoying our content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated. We appreciate having you in our community.